Andrew Czysz Jr. presents a Carthage College sports media project incorporating its esports program and Rocket League team. Welcome to the Carthage Esports Rocket and Roll Birds podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rocket and Roll Birds podcast. I am Andrew Czysz Jr., Carthage lead broadcaster, here to walk you through Carthage Esports and all the lovely things about it. In episode 2 today, we'll be talking about Carthage Esports competitive scene and achievements. If you missed out on episode 1, we talked about the origin story behind Carthage Esports becoming the 28th varsity title offered at Carthage College and the first ever co-ed sport offered on campus. And for episode 2, we'll look at the competitive scene and achievements. As I said before, last episode we previewed the origin story as well as the teams and games offered both on a competitive level, a casual club level, and a recreational level. So if you want to know about those details, go watch episode 1. If you want to focus in on the competitive scene and achievements behind Carthage Esports, stick around for episode 2. And as you see on the picture here, you see the Rocket and Roll Birds podcast logo on your left, and you see some of the trophies for Carthage Esports since it's been inaugurated as of spring 2022. So a nice little trophies collection that we have. And you can see this if you walk into the Todd Weir Center. You go to where the Health and Counseling Center is on the far western side of the building from the main entrance over by the Joseph Johnson Residence Hall. You'll see in the window, you'll see all of these lovely trophies. Now, we kind of cropped this out here for the thumbnail, but you can see some of the big ones, some Rocket League ones, some Valorant ones, and we'll get more into that as we go into the episode. So to start, we'll look at the competitive scene, and one of the big questions we get from, people coming in as recruits or, just outsiders looking to learn more about the program is what leagues and tournaments does Carthage compete in? So currently, Carthage Esports competes in the NECC, which is the National Esports Collegiate Conference, and WEC, which is the Wisconsin Esports Conference, for various varsity titles. Additionally, Carthage's Rocket League team competes in the Midwest Collegiate Rocket League, MCRL, NECC, Wisconsin Collegiate Rocket League, WCRL, and WEC. So the two in particular, Midwest Collegiate Rocket League and Wisconsin Collegiate Rocket League, those are both kind of the same. They both offer the hit title Rocket League. So Rocket League is probably the most popular esport in Wisconsin. So that's why there's so many different leagues based on that one game. It's very popular and it resembles that hockey style of feel, that football feel as well, or otherwise known as soccer here in America. But yeah, it so closely resembles that. And there's so many similarities between Rocket League and those real life sports. But in Rocket League, you're just controlling a car and manipulating where a virtual ball goes. You can dribble it on your car, you can just hit it from the ground. There's so many different mechanics that you can implement with play styles. As you play the game more, you become more comfortable with mechanics and how things work in the game. So it's really cool that we have separate leagues for that. And NECC and WEC, we went over both of those in episode 1, just looking over their mission statements. I'll bring them up once again. So for the NECC, they have fostered innovative competitive experience since the 2020-21 academic school year. In their initiative, they provide high-quality broadcasting services to work to support an inclusive environment within collegiate esports. Now, the Wisconsin Esports Conference has fostered a vibrant collegiate esports community since fall 2024, and their mission is to deliver an equitable and exceptional experience for the student, athletes, and coaches at our member institutions through a focus on key elements such as accessible match scheduling, affordable league entry pricing, competitive divisions, opportunity for in-person competition, and overall continuing commitment to the growth of Wisconsin's esports system. So both of these leagues are tailored to bringing the best out of esports in Wisconsin by, offering competition and, affordable league entry pricing, those competitive divisions, and opportunity for local area networking events, also known as LAN events, which is where, you know, a given number of colleges come together, they play in one space to compete in Rocket League tournaments to win championships, and they also get to network with one another, get to, pick out their own brains about, the game of Rocket League and why they like the game of Rocket League. Or it could be something like Smash Bros. Or Overwatch, where, everybody's just complimenting each other, saying, oh, you got such a good team. And, I've been wondering, how can I sharpen my skills on one certain aspect, something like that. So it's a great space to have small talk with other teams. And, it just enriches that competitive environment that these kids like so much. And these collegiate student athletes like as well for esports. So, as we have explained NECC and WEC, most competitions across all the leagues that Carthage participates in are done through a regular season format, followed by a playoff bracket. Sometimes teams can participate in playoff LAN events, depending on the league. So LAN events, again, are just on-site competitions where players travel to a designated location to play in a specific. So, for example, if Carthage was playing in a NECC Smash Bros. Nationals tournament, let's say, so Nationals is the step above playoffs. So, say the Smash Bros. Team wins their playoff division, their conference as well, and they go to Nationals, which is at a college such as Madison Area Technical College, for example. So they would travel to that location and they would play, let's just say, 7 other teams in a single elimination bracket. There's quarterfinals, there's semifinals, there's finals, and all of these teams would play at that one spot. They would take turns playing. I mean, if there's several stations available, Nintendo Switch is available for competition, and things can go by faster. So it's ultimately that these LAN events are designed to, make things, feel more human as far as, competing against other people, because online, there is a great feel of, winning at your own, arena and stuff like that. But like getting out there, connecting with other people and actually competing with them, in person, it just gives off a whole nother vibe that these players enjoy. So it's another great thing about the NECC, the WEC, and, in particular for the NECC, a more detailed breakdown of their competitive format. So for regular season, they usually use a round robin style. So many NECC competitions, especially in the regular season, use a round robin format where teams play each other multiple times. Now, if there's, let's say, 8 Rocket League teams, for example, in the same conference. So if this was like our current Carthage Rocket League team was in Division 2 of NECC, but they're in a Midwest conference with 8 teams, and there's 7 weeks, they have a chance to play everybody within their conference. So that's basically what that means. And the format for these matches are either best of 3 to best of 7, depending on the game. So for Smash Bros, usually that is a best of 3. And for Rocket League, that can vary for best of 5 up to best of 7. So I believe divisions 1 and 2 for Rocket League are best of 7 competitions, which is just 7 games in a series. And each game takes about 5 minutes to complete. This is for Rocket League, just as an example. So 5 minutes to complete each one. And there's overtime as well if the game's tied. So that kind of adds on to the tally here. But, usually Rocket League gets done within, at most, I would say, about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So not too terrible for the viewer's perspective if they just want something quick to watch in esports. But a title like Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege can vary from best of 5 to best of 7, maybe best of 3 usually, because those matches take so long because they're round based and the rounds take 3 minutes each. And I believe it's like first team to get the 7 rounds is declared a winner of a map. So that definitely takes more time. And a game like Overwatch is, a little bit more similar to that of Rainbow Six Siege, except, the rounds take a little bit, less of time because there's usually like a unique game mode within, each set of a series. So, for example, in Overwatch, there's game modes such as, payload and capturing an objective. Those are different. And, they'll make the experience more faster because those are at a fixed time, as well as opposed to Rainbow Six Siege, where you're playing constant rounds for about 3 minutes each. And, they add up over time. There's prep phase time, there's, action time where you go in and try to, plant a diffuser to win a round. That's the aesthetic to that game. Kind of just work as a team, a 5v5 tactical shooter where you just work to plant a diffuser to stop a bomb. And yeah, it's pretty much Rainbow Six Siege in a nutshell. But the premises here is that all of these games vary within the format that they're played in. That's the main point I want everybody to take away is, we have a lot of different games, and to play those games, certain formats need to be in place. For tiebreakers in any CC, they're decided by head-to-head record, and if that's still a tie, the next tiebreaker is fastest average win time. Moving on to playoffs and championship. So single elimination. Some NECC competitions like last chance qualifiers use a single elimination tournament format. Now, last chance qualifiers come into play when a team who has made or not made the playoffs didn't make it all the way through to win the championship in their respective divisions conference. Now, these last chance qualifiers allow certain teams to get into the national competitions, which is like the big end around thing for any CC competitions, because this is like where those LAN events come into play, where you can play against different schools at a college, for example, or some other hosting location. And Carthage's Rocket League teams, I believe, last year got some experience with those last chance qualifiers, and a couple of them made it to nationals. One of them made it to round of 16. Another one, I believe, made it to round of 16 as well. Our Carthage Red team from last year actually made it up to the quarterfinals and nationals after being in the grand finals of their respective playoffs. So we'll get to that later on. And sometimes double elimination is used. I know for this season in particular, spring 2025, our Rocket League team is currently in a double elimination playoff bracket in Division 2. They're currently in the losers bracket. They did win a first round game against University of Houston. As I'm recording this, they won on April 1st at about 8 p.m. It is April 2nd as I'm recording this, 9:09 p.m. So they beat Houston 4-3 in a losers bracket first round. So they move on to a quarterfinal, which will take place tomorrow as I'm recording this. So hopefully our Firebirds can win that as well to keep their championship hopes alive. And we'll see if there's anything else to discuss regarding NECC. And again, those local area network events host the championships and tournaments for the National Esports Collegiate Conference national events. And that's pretty much it for Carthage's take in the competitive scene for a bunch of esports titles such as Smash Bros, Overwatch, Rocket League, Rainbow Six Siege, and Valorant. So we'll move on to the notable achievements and memorable matches that have happened at Carthage Esports. So to begin, spring 2021, Carthage Esports was founded and became the 28th varsity sport and only co-ed sport in Carthage College history, a huge achievement for such a niche program on campus, as first co-ed sport means that male or female students can participate in varsity gaming and club gaming and also recreational gaming within the Carthage Esports space. Obviously, for recreational, everybody who is on campus is welcome to join in on the fun during the operating hours. Moving on to spring 2022. So this was the first season that Carthage Esports was actually a thing and had seasonal competitions. So first, our Valorant team competed in playoffs and they qualified for nationals. Rainbow Six Siege had an undefeated regular season. They competed in playoffs as well, qualified for nationals. Overwatch, they competed in playoffs, reached their divisional championship game. They competed in nationals. For Rocket League, the A team at the time was undefeated in the regular season, won their NECC conference division title, which was huge for Rocket League. That was their very first NECC championship. They advanced to the Final Four at Nationals. And teams B and C competed in the playoffs in Nationals. League of Legends, we do offer that as well. Team A competed in the playoffs and nationals, and Team B, undefeated regular season, reached championship game in both divisional playoffs and nationals. So, although we don't have all the stats to really research what all went down in these, because sometimes NECC filters out older seasons results on their website. However, we can just see from just what I said that in their inaugural season, Carthage Esports has so much prestige. I mean, look at that. I mean, Valorant, Rainbow Six, Overwatch, that's 3 teams all together right there, making it to nationals. Rocket League with 2 teams, that puts it up to 5. And League of Legends, their 2 teams made it. Actually, no, it puts us up to 8 because there's 3 Rocket League teams. So 8 teams in total for Carthage Esports making it to nationals for NECC. Absolutely incredible for the program. Now we move on to fall 2023. And this is where I joined in. So the Smash Bros team qualified for NECC playoffs. In the regular season, they went 2-3 overall. They were 4th in their Midwest B conference. And in playoff action, they unfortunately lost 2-0 to St. Ambrose in the quarterfinals on November 14th. And while I was sitting in the booth, I remember that being, a tough game for us. We fought hard in that one, but ultimately St. Ambrose just ended up being the better team. And sometimes that happens in these competitions. You can't win them all, but just glad that our team at that time fought hard to get in that spot. And then we move on to Overwatch, who is the NECC Midwest champion. So Overwatch winning their first title on December 7th, 2023. In the regular season, they were undefeated, 6-0 overall, number 1 in Challengers Midwest B Conference. So Challengers is the division of Overwatch that Carthage was in. Midwest B is the conference that they were representing. Hopefully I make that clear. Sometimes the verbiage can be a little confusing with esports and how we cycle in divisions and conferences. In the playoffs, Overwatch Red would defeat Purdue Silver in the quarterfinals on November 18, 2023. Illinois State University 3-0 on November 30th, 2023. And Purdue Steel 4-3 December 7th, 2023 to win the Midwest Championship. And then wrapping up the fall 2023 season outside of NECC, the Rocket League Red team defeated UW Stout to win the Wisconsin Collegiate Rocket League's fall 2023 LAN event. So outside of Rocket League, you're going to notice, or outside of NECC Rocket League, that Carthage's Rocket League teams have once a little bit of hardware outside of NECC with Wisconsin Collegiate Rocket League, for example. And as we go down the line, you'll see a couple more trophies won by the Rocket League team. So spring 2024 for Rocket League in terms of NECC, the red team competed in playoffs, reached NECC division title game. They became the runner-up. They qualified for nationals. The runner-up to Mizzou Esports, who was 5-0 in the Champions Midwest A Conference, and Mizzou and Carthage Red met in the championship game of the Midwest playoffs. However, Carthage would lose 4-2 in the grand final on April 12th, 2024. So they came close to winning the championship, but they still made nationals. They made it to the quarterfinals at least. So at least there's something for them. And Black reached the round of 16 in nationals, while Gray reached the quarterfinals. And this was due to last chance qualifiers that I was talking about earlier. Some teams have the chance to make their way to nationals by qualifying through last chance qualifiers, winning it. Then we go on to fall 2024 season. And in this season, not too much for Smash Bros, but League of Legends winning their first ever NECC championship against Missouri 3-2 on December 4th, 2024. December 9th, 2024, Rocket League White wins the Wisconsin Esports Conference's Division II state championship by defeating Wisconsin Lutheran College 4-1 in a best of 7 series. December 15th, 2024, Carthage Red, the current Carthage Red team, beat Midwest Collegiate Rocket League in a championship game. Won a Midwest Collegiate Rocket League championship against the UW Platteville Pioneers 4-1. So, like I said before, like I prefaced, the Rocket League teams outside of NECC have been very successful. And you're seeing that now with some of those championships, League of Legends winning their first championship in fall 2024. I know Coach Young is a very big fan of League of Legends. It's his favorite game that we offer, and he coaches it. He has an assistant coach as well, and his teams are just phenomenal. I know nothing about League of Legends, but just know it's a team-based game where you work together to take another team's base down and stuff like that. It's very niche. You know, not everybody likes the game. Some people, you know, when they really like it, they're really passionate about it. And we have a passionate team that loves it. So I'm glad we have something like that available at Carthage. Moving on to the current season, spring 2025, Rainbow Six Siege returned to the lineup of varsity titles offered after being absent during spring 2024 due to player shortage. Rocket League Red, currently competing in Division II NECC action. They are in the playoffs, as I mentioned before. Currently in a loser's bracket right now. They defeated the University of Houston 4-3 and are moving on to the quarterfinals in that to take on Grand Canyon University tomorrow, April 3rd. So hopefully they win that. In the regular season, they went 5-1. They defeated Houston Red in the loser bracket first round, as I said. And for Valorant, undefeated regular season, they went 7-0 in the Midwest A Conference, representing NECC Division 7, also representing the Carthage Firebirds, by the way. Midwest playoff action for the Firebirds. They defeated Maryland in the first round 2-0 on March 24th, followed by a round 2 victory against MVNU on March 31st, and it brings them to the grand final, which will take place on April 7th, this Monday at 8 p.m. live on Twitch. Number 2 seeded Robert Morris taking on the number 1 seeded Carthage Firebirds, and Valorant is looking for a NECC championship, and everybody on that team would love it. I know I would love it. I know most of the people in Carthage Esports would love it. And I'm sure anybody who follows our program will love it as well. So looking to bring home a title for Valorant, looking to bring home a title for League of Legends as well. They're playing, you know, off stream in the spring 2025 season. They have made their way to their grand final as well. So cheering on both League of Legends and Valorant this next week, even though League of Legends probably won't be streamed. Well, they will be streamed on the YouTube version of the Carthage Esports stream, but not on Twitch, as that'll be for Valorant on Monday and then League of Legends on the YouTube channel on Tuesday. So just be tuned for that as of the recording of this. I know by the time this gets out, the results will probably be in. So fingers crossed that when we look back at this video, Valorant and League of Legends do end up winning their respective championships in their divisions of NECC competition. Now, with those accolades out of the way by season in Carthage Esports, from what I could gather while researching, we have other awards as well. Now, since I was able to join here, I have sort of reinforced the culture that has been behind Carthage Esports broadcasting. I've also, you know, inspired some people to, you know, enjoy broadcasting a lot more. And I've worked with several people in our space. And by doing so, I've developed some of the the best work that has been seen at Carthage Esports and the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association, which is an association that is out there for students who are looking for work in the broadcasting field, developed their student awards panel. And this event is held yearly at Lambeau Field, yes, where the Green Bay Packers play. And there's all these panels with, different experts in journalism, broadcasting, marketing that come together and sort of have panels to talk to students about, hey, what are the best tips of starting a podcast? What are the best tips of writing, journalism? And what are the steps to being a successful broadcaster, in front of the camera and behind the scenes? So the WBA event is one of my favorites to go to. It's been a favorite for the last 2 years. And one of the reasons why is because of the student awards thing. So I'm happy to tell you, if you haven't heard already, Carthage is a 2-time WBA podium placement for Best Sports Play-by-Play College TV. Once again, Carthage Esports has gotten on the podium placement twice for WBA award for Best Sports Play-by-Play College TV. And those podium placements have both been third place. The first one came on February 26, 2024, when we placed third in the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Best Sports Play-by-Play TV category for a Week 5 NECC Overwatch matchup in which Carthage took on Valparaiso University. I believe this was back in the October month of 2023. Actually, no, it was November 2nd, 2023. Now I remember it. See, I got a thing with certain dates, and it just popped in my head just then. So I was casting alongside my best friend, TJ Buckman, otherwise known as Blaze, on the Carthage Esports airwaves. And we were both on the call for that matchup. And what I remember the most about that matchup is the intensity. Carthage and Valparaiso were tied 2-2 in the series, and the 5th game mode was launched. It was the payload game mode that I was talking about before. One team tries to push it to a certain destination on the map. The defenders have to obviously defend it from getting to that zone, and Carthage was on defense, and they had one of the craziest holdouts I've ever seen. So I'll probably put a clip in this broadcast so you can see exactly what I'm talking about.
They're secretly getting to the point, and they will get to it. 46 meters, 30 seconds left. Will they be able to do it? Ramatra is on the point.
The ults have to come out from Carthage here to stop.
They're going to have to use them, and they're going to use them good. Here comes the Shimbone and ZXCL. The Immortality field will go down. I thought it was a player. Oh, but Lunar gets one. Z gets one. Nankicks goes down. The Bastion gets res.
Bust for Valpo getting some. Lunar is going to get one. ZXC is going to get one. Lunar is still going.
Great play by Lunar.
No way.
The team kill comes out. They will not have enough time.
Oh, my goodness.
But it is a Lucio. 5 seconds. Will the Lucio be able to get it? They are holding strong at the door. 2 seconds.
He's not gonna
no
get
one's
it.
going to be able to do it. And Carthage with an incredible defensive hold.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Carthage is going to win 3-2, advance to 5-0 on the season.
What an amazing play by them on the defense. 2 team wipes. The Z play of the game, taking it from Lunar, ending the streak. Well, let's see it. And it will be on the defensive hold here. That last defensive hold. He got one. Oh, we'll get 2. Look at this defense. 17 health and gets 1. Lunar getting 2 there.
Wow.
Wow. Well, we'll be back soon with an interview from one of our players.
We got to catch our breath. Oh, my God. See you after the break.
See you after the break.
But it was just intense. The energy was there and everything like that. So definitely a highlight for me personally. And we actually got 3rd place for that in a sports category for college sports. That's insane. Doing that for esports, such a niche thing for some areas in the state of Wisconsin. Absolutely incredible. So I'm definitely proud of that for me. Proud of that for Blaze, and proud of that for the Carthage Esports program, because this puts us on the map even more. And, I'm just so grateful for that. And the next award that we have to talk about is on June 27th, 2024. Director of Esports Robert Young won the National Association of Esports Coaches and Directors NAECAD Best New Coach Award. And Coach Robert won this because of his dedicated leadership to the program and the way he connects with his students, and he's always just so outgoing to the students, and especially for his League of Legends team, he's always there to get them in the right place mentally and make sure the morale is boosted and everything like that. And he has great knowledge of the game of League of Legends. He has great knowledge of how to run the Carthage Esports program, succeeding Kevin Palmer, who was the initial director of esports until he got an offer received from his alma mater, the University of Michigan. So he went over there, and Coach Robert took over, and he's been an absolute blast to work with. One of my favorite people within the Carthage Esports program. So I'm grateful to have him as the director of esports, and grateful for him to, take the chance on me to be one of his lead broadcasters for him. So I got a special connection with him, and it's been awesome so far in this ride. And the final award I will talk about is a February 22nd, 2025 Carthage Esports third place Wisconsin Broadcasters Association Best Sports Play-by-Play College TV Week 6 NECC Smash Bros. Matchup, in which Carthage took on UW Stevens Point. Myself and co-caster Subby were on the call, and this one was very important for Carthage because on our Halloween stream, they were fighting for playoff positioning, and within the 10-minute clip we submitted, our player Mechanical Merlin, who is using the character King K. Rool from the Donkey Kong franchise. Ironically enough, I was actually dressed up as another member from the Donkey Kong franchise, Funky Kong, but nonetheless, Mechanical Merlin was able to take out two players from UW Stevens Point to win it 2-0 for Carthage in two different sets. So each team has 12 stocks each, and they have 4 players. So once a team loses 3 stocks, they swap players. So essentially, Mechanical Merlin had a decent lead for Carthage in stocks, and UW Stevens Point was down to the last 2 players, so they had 6 stocks. So Mechanical Merlin took out the first player, which dropped UW Stevens Point down to 3 stocks, and took down the last guy in incredible fashion, as you'll see in the ending moments of that clip. But Mechanical Merlin just, taking out the last 2 members of UW Stevens Point, not losing too many stocks as well, and didn't hurt Carthage, and benefited them in their playoff chances. Unfortunately, though, they did miss the playoffs later on in the season, but it was still an incredible moment when it happened in that Week 6 matchup, and it's one of those matches I'll never forget as well, just how it ended. So please take a look at the clip.
It's 155 damage, going for a footstool. He's
So
still alive.
He's still in strong.
He's still
He's
alive.
holding on.
Oh my goodness. No. The smash attack not hitting. How is he still alive?
He's still going.
He's gotten cursives up to 72%
No.
damage. Oh
Wow.
my god.
He wants the graphic.
Oh my god, the footstool! Are you kidding me?
So I have the prediction box.
Oh my god.
I have the prediction box.
No.
It is
no.
in my side.
Oh my
I
god.
literally said Mechanical Merlin gonna
You
sweep.
can have the box
He's
all you
gonna
want.
sweep.
Dude, that was an
He's gonna
amazing play
sweep.
from Mechanical Merlin.
He's getting that
Are
graphic.
you kidding
He's getting
me?
that graphic.
Are you kidding me? What did we just see?
History.
Probably one of the greatest moments in Carthage Smash history since we've been the casters.
Exactly. Put it in the highlights. Put it in the highlights. Mechanical
Put it in the
Merlin
highlight
deserved that.
reel.
That
Put it
was-
in our hype video for next year. I don't even
Wow.
care. Wow.
Wow.
And now that we're back from the viewing of the clip, we'll conclude the podcast episode by saying that Carthage, participates in the NECC and WEC for, their competitions, whether it's online or in person. And, both the organizations foster that inclusivity within esports, affordable league entry, competitive divisions as well. And on the side of achievements, Carthage has done some great things. In spring 2022, we talked about how 8 of their teams made it all the way to the national competition. And in the fall, we saw that Smash made it to playoffs. Overwatch won a championship. And we move over to spring 2024. Rocket League almost winning another NECC divisional championship, making it to nationals. The gray and black teams also making it to nationals. Fall 2024, League of Legends winning their first ever championship. Rocket League White and Rocket League Red in the fall 2024 season. Won championships in Wisconsin Esports Conference and Midwest Collegiate Rocket League, respectively. Spring 2025, we saw Rainbow Six Siege get back into the lineup. Carthage Red currently fighting for their lives in a loser's bracket right now in Division 2. Valorant in the grand finals, looking to get a championship. League of Legends looking to get their second championship in spring 2025. So a lot of great things happening over at Carthage College. And if you enjoy this episode, stay tuned for episode number 3, where we will go over the esports facility resources, as well as the student involvement and community portion of the Carthage Esports program and what that all has to offer. I have been Andrew Czysz Jr., pleased to be taking you through the Rocket and Roll Birds podcast. And once we get done talking about the overview of Carthage Esports' program, we'll get into the full season recap for Carthage Rocket League Red, as well as one-on-one player interviews with each of the 3 members. Penn Gilchrist, who goes by Pixlr, Alex Vale, who goes by Vale04, and Armando Hernandez, who goes by Mondo. But stay tuned for all the upcoming content for the Rocket and Roll Birds podcast, and don't forget to rocket and roll birds.